Welcome back to the LPL. We're right in the thick of it, in the middle of a series between Team WE and JD Gaming. Now, of course, JD Gaming with Team WE's former coach have taken down the series, at least 1-0, as we head into Game 2. And before we get into this and start setting the expectations, I do want to remind everyone, first and foremost, thank you so much for dealing with us for all of the technical difficulties, and a reminder that our match of the week between RNG and Edward Gaming in Beijing will start no matter if this series has completed or not. We are going to cover what we believe is the biggest match, the most exciting match, and the match that all of you want to see. So we will be starting that on time.
Yep.
Now, Raz, to business. Is this going to be a 2-0 and we're going to have time before EDG or RNG? Or are we going to pull the classic JD Gaming, throw game 2, clean up the series in 3 games?
See, I have faith. I liked how that game 1 went. And you know what's going to happen? There's no tit-for-tat. It's always, it feels like it's going to be a 2-over for me. And it's going to be a challenge on towards WE, whether or not they can really respond to the jungle pressure. I know that Clement was talking about the jungle differences between Condi and Pepper, and you would want to put in Pepper just so at the very least you can have a fighting chance up against Clit early on in this game. I would agree with that. I think if you want to put in Pepper, it would have to change from a Sejuani state of mind. You'd have to give him the jungle pressure. Having the Taliyah, going up against the Taliyah, sure, it's a mid laner in this one, but it's too much pressure from the mid lane. There's too many times in which Condi was feeling that heat on the top side of the map, and I think Pepper will handle that properly if you give him another positive matchup.
See, I think it's very interesting that people are in this camp that Pepper is supposed to be the stylistic difference to Condi, that he is the early game jungler versus Condi, who is the 5v5 late game jungler. When Team WE were at their height, at their strongest, Condi was playing an early game. We know that he's capable of not just being, the archer of WE, where they set up their shot, it takes them a long time, but once they let it go, that arrow finds the heart every time. He became the sword of WE, the ability to skirmish in the early game to find aggression, and now suddenly it's not there. It feels like if Pepper is your response to we need an early game jungler, that you're then not utilizing Condi, because he's shown last year that he can play early game.
Yes, and the only reason you'd want to put Pepper in is because it's Condi falling off, and it's only because Pepper can only play the early game. That's the major focus I want to put in here, because Pepper...
But then why would I want a guy who can only do one thing when I've got a guy who can do both?
Because they got nothing! Right now, WE doesn't have an early game, a mid game, or a late game. You have to have a strength, and if you're going to be putting in Pepper, it puts the fire underneath Condi that his early game should be strong, or at the very least, you can rely on his late game. Currently, they're not getting to that point, and when they do, they're at a major deficit that they can't come back from. So that's a major worry towards Condi, and hopefully by putting in Pepper, if they do put in Pepper, that is an identity they can start from a step 1 to a step 2.
Would you like the fun fact?
What's the fun fact?
They're not putting in Pepper.
Well, that's pretty fun.
It's Condi for game number 2. Now, that said, on the other side, it was a huge performance from Loken. I know that, pretty much all of JD's lanes held down very strong. It was a traditional funnel composition, however, so a lot of eyes were on Clid. I remember during that game, I looked at you, I was like, damn, Clid's really good at Rakan.
He's pretty damn good at Rakan.
Kind of reminds me of almost the Lee Sin of supports.
That's true. Engager. Oh no,
Look at me just hand you that softball.
Oh lord. It's fun because in the LCK they have Spirit, who's also a pretty damn good Rakan player. I wonder why. When you are putting yourself in a mechanical jungle sphere thing, you're like, I'm a great mechanical player, and you know what I do when I'm off-rolling in solo queue? I will play the same style of champions. Mechanical, engage heavy. That's what we see from Clid, so it makes sense that it's working for him.
Rakan's just a get-her-done type of champion, and
Get-her-done.
Clid and Spirit are both like get-her-done type of junglers.
Yep. No matter the cost.
They've been on some teams that have just not been getting it done, and sometimes the jungle just has to be like, buckle up, get my backpack, we're going.
It's just funny because it's the same. No matter what, people remember them for their Lee Sin plays. But if I see Clid or Swift, I'll put Swift in the same boat as well.
Uh-oh.
They get in the get-her-done strategy immediately. If the game's not happening, they go into Sejuani because even though that's not a carry jungler, it's I'm going to carry you in starting these fights because no one's doing it.
I'm going to press R and we're going to go right this second.
We're doing it right now.
Now, here's a controversial statement. As I watch more JD, I love controversial statements.
You do.
Are JD Gaming the Afrika of the LPL?
Yes.
Why?
They're creative. That's one notch.
I agree.
They can output a funneling composition is another thing.
Okay.
You put in this own creative tree,
We're
but
still
I think
aligned.
It's both. And I think that
there's one more Raz.
It's hard carry jungle, a strong top lane, and a mid laner that is doing well in terms of mages.
There you go. He got it. Now, that said, we are going to toss it over to the casters because we are getting into games. So, Dom, Clement, take it away.
危机眼中的奇迹是用熏血浇灌过后的开花结果。
And that we are. As soon as that game is ready for us to get into, then we will ease right on into that. Welcome back. I'm Dom. This is Clement. And again, we've got to talk about JD versus WE. We just heard a little bit of a discussion on the desk in which Frost asked Raz whether she thinks JD are a Freaka, and you vehemently said no.
Well,
Why?
All right, because they're pretty much stock standard. They're not really the bruiser type team that Afrika really is. Sure, they like to team fight a lot, but I think their creativity takes them in other directions. Their creativity is mainly about the mid lane, and it's about the mid lane roaming. So, you know, when you think about someone like Kuro, he's like a tech player. You know, he plays anti-compositions, stuff like the Vel'Koz. But you think about someone like Igao, he's very clear in his roaming potential. He's got Galio, Yasuo, stuff like that. He leaves his lanes a lot. And, you know, it's really hard to compare a team that mainly plays all bruisers and a team that has only one with 80 carries, marksman. Which, of course, they just broke that trend because it is 8.13. But, you know, I don't think one game necessarily shifts that trend yet.
It has to move the needle a little bit, though.
It does.
So eventually we'll get back to this conversation. I'm sure I would love to have both you and the desk have a more proper discussion about which of these LPL teams have got their LCK counterparts. As we prepare now to get into pick and ban, again, it was another manual ban by the coaches backstage. So that means we're just going to get in and fly through that pick and ban for this game too. And the compelling question that I heard at the beginning was, JD have a bit of a history to go to game 3. Every single match that they've gone has been a 2-1, except for their series against Vici, which was a 2-0.
I just want to say, God bless the coach. If you've won game 1, it's time to experiment. That's what regular split is about, and I know
that's what we're calling it, huh?
Yep, a lot of folks at home don't like watching those game 2s when one team is clearly trying some new things out, but hey, that's how you get better, you know? That's the big improvement over a BO1 system where if you try something and you fail, you might just miss playoffs, you know? I think the BO3 is much stronger as a format because those teams do have those games.
It gives you so much room for experimentation.
Yeah. You could try your rosters and stuff as well.
It seems like in the LPL we have teams that try for experimentation in like 1 or 2 games, but then you have regions that get stuck in experimentation like Heimerdinger and whatever's going on in Europe right now. I know Aatrox is there for some reason, and he's losing?
Look, I'm going to preach for the Donger. That's a legit build. It's a good champion. I'm not kidding you. And
there actually is a great breakdown that I think Jat did as to why Heimerdinger is so strong. Definitely recommend it. I think it's on the LoL Esports Twitter.
Have you seen that burst damage?
It's a lot of damage.
His full burst rotation is over 5.0 AP. Like, if you set up correctly, the opponent is actually just dead.
AP ratio, yeah.
Yeah, AP ratio is
real
like,
big.
It's a crazy champion that if teams are not familiar with it, like you take it to Rift Rivals against North America, it's going to work wonders for you. They don't know what they're up against, you know?
I mean, I don't even know. I learned more about Heimerdinger in that 3 or 4 minute segment than I have in 7 or 8 years of playing the game. He's got turrets. They fire lasers sometimes. I don't know. That's the Heimerdinger conversation. But this is the pick and ban for WE versus JD in Game 2. We're looking to see if JD will run another funnel or return to a marksman. And in the same time, we're looking for WE to return to something a bit more standard. They have to start finding some footing, and that's a Zyra already for JD.
So Jingdong again going for the funnel composition. Of course, it could go into the bot lane as well. But so far as we're seeing, most likely still going to be running the gold funnel. I like the Morgana pick coming up because she's a very strong kill lane, either as a support or as a marksman bot position. And she also counters what Jingdong likes to do, which is group up and rush your face. So I like this adaptation from W, but unfortunately, it looks like our ban pick is once again paused, and we have no update as to whether those were actually locked in.
Oh, there it is. Just trying to keep us on our toes. Ashe is the pickup for Team WE, and Soraka. So JD looks like they are trying to return towards a funnel style, as we've got the Talon now being banned away from Xie.
Great pickup in the Soraka. It is a strong counter into the Morgana. Very easy to trade with her. You can push her in and actually take off her Black Shield with relative ease as well. So they're already setting themselves up for a pushing bottom lane, a pushing top lane. These are the things you want to look for if you're running a gold funnel.
Well, they do need to actually secure that pushing top lane first, and we'll see what that's going to be right now as we've got ourselves a Ryze locked in. That's the expected mage bottom, though we know it can be played top. And we'll see how the composition rounds out, because now we've got a Kled and a Jarvan.
Ooh, and not the combination
And a
I
Rumble
want
on
to
top
see.
of that. Some bruisers. I like it.
Yeah, so W are going for the one-hit wonder. They're not going to go for flanks. Those are too difficult with the level of communication they have right now. So they're just going to build a big pyre and burn JD Gaming inside of it. Like, this is a much easier composition to execute. The only thing I would say is that if you accidentally lock Kled into Cataclysm, he's not coming out.
It feels real bad.
Yeah, it feels real bad. And I've had that happen to me quite often as a Kled main. But other than that, I think it's a really good composition for W to run.
How happy are you that it is a Kled meta? That we are seeing Kled played?
Ecstatic. Absolutely ecstatic.
Love it. Well, hopefully JD will get the chance to be ecstatic as they try to close out this series 2-0. WE looking for their own chance to show some smiles, because again, this is a team that is 1-5. Dropping to JD Gaming in that game 1. They're running a dog pile here in this game 2. They've got Ashe for pick, plus that Morgana, and then plenty of follow-up with the Kled charge and the Jarvan Rumble to slam dunk on top.
Yeah, and I'm really interested in where this Rumble is actually going to end up, because they currently have 2 top laners in their roster, in the Rumble and the Kled. What would be my guess was that they would actually run the Kled mid and then have the Rumble into the top lane. Kled has a lot more mobility to make plays right here. So even though 957 is the quote-unquote top laner for W, I actually think he's going to be playing mid today.
Yeah, you can see he has that Kled selected, as Xie is the one who will be taking the Rumble on the far side. Still fairly standard pickups out of JD when this funnel is concerned. The Rakan going back to Kled, it absolutely fits his wheelhouse.
Yep, the other way to look at it is the Kled would be a very good answer into the Mundo. Probably gives you a chance to punish that matchup a little bit. So I guess it's a switch up here. Do you want the mobility of Kled in the mid lane, or do you want the counter lane against Mundo into the top lane? That's a decision that W is going to have to make.
Some flexibility of choice for how they want to run their composition against JD. Hopefully that flexibility will allow them to come to the correct answer and pick up more of an advantage. 957, he's been playing Kled for a long time. It's a very well-known champion for him. So could be utilized to try and speed up the advantage.
Yeah, I
that
think
he likes to take.
W, with how they've been going so far, they've really been losing not on the compositions, but on the communications. Like, it just never seems like Condi knows whether to engage or to back off. He left his Glacial Prison untouched when he was first being engaged upon. Very weird individual decisions and not reading what the team wanted to do overall. With this comp, it's much easier. Mystic hits someone with the enchanted crystal arrow, you all go in. That's it. That's the only comms you need. You might even not need comms for this comp, actually.
Just run forward and try to run someone down. Dark Binding or Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and then race forward. Of course, it'll be up to JD to try and prevent that. They've got some abilities to get out of that Ray with that Xayah and Rakan. And of course, the Rise of Mundo will have a little bit more trouble should they find themselves ever caught out by that arrow. That's where the vision is. That guy sleeping? You see that guy right in the middle by the sign?
No,
that guy, he was preparing himself mentally, I think.
You will not say that about the fans in Xi'an. They're all diehard W feans. They've been awake for their entire lives just to watch
this
game.
moment.
Yeah.
For this game. Could you imagine actually being awake your entire life?
No.
To build up for just game 2?
Well, it gives him a reason to be asleep now.
Well, there you go. Yeah, game 1 paid off, and now he's like, okay, now I can finally rest. Think of the sleep debt that you would build up if you didn't sleep for that many years.
Yeah.
That being said, we have loaded onto the Rift. It's game 2 between WE and JD Gaming. I love this guy. His voice is so distinctive now. If you ever watch JD, you will hear him. And, oh, turning the lights on to make sure we get a clear shot.
Oh, yeah. They want to catch the guys that are already falling to sleep.
Yeah, the reaction. I mean, if that doesn't wake him up, I don't know what will. And now a minute on. Looks like we've got a defensive line. across the map. No Talon this time. 694 and Mystic on the bottom half.
Yeah, but it is still the same concept as the Talon mid with Smite as well. With the AoE clear, you should be able to take a Raptor camp and hit level 2 as well. I forgot about this, but Rusty did say on the desk that he's been one of those champions that have been popping up as an anti-funnel choice. You can't clear your own jungle and your own wave to match the speed of the gold funnel.
That Rumble very good with the Flame Spitter, especially if you get into overheat already. Look at that. Camp just getting absolutely cleared out. That new Junkyard Rumble looking real cool. As even firing the 2 shots. Yeah. Oh, you're right. The Junkyard Rumble is the other one. Yes.
Yeah.
Got the terminology incorrect. I didn't know he was on tank treads,
Oh,
but look at that. Condi is there as well. Which target is he going for? Loken eats the knockup and an auto attack. Quick flash back from that Xayah, but Condi's real low, but he does get that flash in the mid lane.
Yeah, good read there by WE, going for the quick level 2 gank. So usually teams don't really expect this to see the both the mid laner with Smite and the jungler just start on the same side, because it does take away a potential camp for your clear path, and just Jingdong just going right in for it, having to blow a flash themselves.
That could well cost them. Already we can see the effectiveness of that Rumble in the mid lane. Clearing out those minion waves is an attempt to match that funnel as it's being pushed in. Bottom Scuttle Crab being taken by JD. Condi has already secured the top one. There's a ward placed on top of it while he picks up blue buff. And once again, 957 on this Kled, happily pushing into Zoom, though this time Zoom has learned his lesson and has a defensive ward just underneath that tower as the wave is set to crash in.
Yep, it's a very bad matchup for the Mudo.
Walks forward, he's got the Grand Entrance and Battle Dance, just uses the entrance over the wall, but Condi taking a much more aggressive start in this game too.
Yeah, this is exactly how you want to counter the gold funneling. At the start of the game, you're actually quite strong if you have this double smite setup. You're not going to fall behind in terms of EXP or even the wave push, so then you can contest the 2v2.
Already stealing away that Raptor camp too, just denying that gold to the Xayah, making sure that smite is on cooldown as much as it can be. And still just hovering around that mid lane, constant pings, waiting for the opportunity. Trying to bait Loken and Klid into re-engaging, it looks like, as that's actually the Blade Collar. Condi steps up again. Remember, there's no flash, but Condi does not go for the flash knockup and is forced to use his own defensively, as Klid just turns around and trades cooldowns.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure that was necessary. Loken was sitting on no mana. And,
with no Blade Collar.
Yeah, and Rumble was right there as well, but trying to play it extremely safe on Condi's side.
Zoom just stepping up, trying to force 957 back. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, looks like JD are having a lot more trouble. Condi is relentlessly invading with this Jarvan, with that push pressure in the bottom lane, with temporary push pressure in the top lane. He's free to try and contest these side lanes.
Yep, the important thing is the farm between Loken and Xia at this point. If you're on the gold funneling strat, you should be 20 CS or more ahead. You should be taking away more jungle camps, but so far, Condi and Xia have been able to equalize quite handily and equalize on one person together. So that's a quite an impressive feat playing the anti-funnel strategy.
You can even see Klid taking a few CS there to help push that wave in. As you said, Xie stepping down to clear that Raptor camp over and over. Of course, no mana on the Rumble either means it's a lot easier for him to sustain in lane. Just needs to keep his health up, and as long as he's got the Hunter's Talisman and a refillable, it's not that bad. Ticks over to level 6 very early on, and suddenly that lane just became a whole lot more safe as Loken and Klid still have to make their way out of base.
A lot of times when people are running this Smite mid laner, level 1s are going to be much more important, because if you can deny them from getting to lane on level 2, then the push is massively hindered on the side of the Smite mid laner. And this is kind of the problem when you kind of show your Soraka early, because she doesn't really give you that level 1 edge you might be looking for to push into the Raptors. Like, every single game we've seen with that Talon mid at Rift Rivals was met with the level 1 invade at Raptors.
And this time it's not, and already it's working out in favor of WE. They're 500 gold ahead as that Rumble is trying to match the Xayah Rakan in the mid lane. We're also seeing Mystic, as expected, of one of the best 80 carries in the region. Still 9 CS ahead of that Ryze in the bottom lane.
Yeah, this is a very difficult composition to run on Jingdong's side. They have a lot of immobile carries right here, and they really do lack burst damage. Like, everything is sustained. It's going to come out slow. While on the other hand, WE, with one combo, it's very difficult to not lose members as Jingdong.
There's a lot of targets for WE to pick from. There's the Soraka, you've got the Rise before Catalyst, if he even decides to go for it. And if you can find Clid or Loken ever separated, it's easy. Heck, even if you stack them together. But Clid, he's actually looking for a roam bottom right now.
Yeah, and he does have the exhaust to assist with the gank as well. A very potent gank, if you ask me.
Instead, just decides to return back towards that mid lane while Loken catches yet another minion wave. Teleport just now used by 957. That Zoom should have started, but look at that. Condi is invading the red buff of JD. That side lane push pressure to counter out the funnel is working out so well. Loken's actually stepping up, and Condi just takes the camp and leaves.
Yep, and we have a level 5 and a level 7 versus the level 6 and 4 on Jingdong's side. So
yeah.
WE is going to hold on to the 2v2 advantage throughout the entire game, and they're the ones actually stealing away camps from Jingdong at this point. So gold funneling strategy, if you don't get it to work, in the later portions of the game, you're looking at yourself and you're going, wait a minute, we have so many supports and we're not even ever ahead.
What are we supposed to do with all... Why can't I carry all of these supports? As Mystics just steps up, just dodging attack after attack, trading back against that Mage Rise. And it's looking to be pretty tough for the bottom lane of Yagao and Mao. But Clid and Loken still hanging out in that mid lane. Xie and Condi are going to step into the jungle. I believe this Wolf Camp would get Condi very close to level 6.
You have to be very careful about the all-in.
Yeah, Clid steps up. He's got the grand entrance to dash away, plus he's got flash.
Look at what this invade did to the bot lane. Jingdong's bot lane had to move away in fear of the 4v2. That's nothing to scoff at. Cataclysm with Equalizer on top is going to kill those carries with no mobile abilities at all.
Yeah. And now that Rise is out of mana. Take a look at his mana bar on the right side of your screen. Mao having to use that heal in lane as he actually took a poor trade, forced to back away as Condi steps into the tri-bush to scare them away. And still, there's just nothing that JD can do without that push pressure in the side lanes. It seems as though WE have found their answer to the funnel strategy from JD.
Yeah, I just love that Ashe pick. It wins you the bot lane. It gives you the ability to track junglers with the hawk shot as well. It's such a good component to an anti-gold funnel composition right here. This is something that they lacked with the Ezreal and Tahm Kench in the previous game. Ezreal doesn't give you any CC. He's not particularly good at wave clearing either. So with this Ashe pick, you just get so much more mileage.
And that is definitely something that's scary for JD, because not only is it an Ashe, it's Mystic's Ashe. Not one of the 4 that we heard Frost list, the Xayah, Sivir, Ezreal, Caitlyn, but still something that he's very familiar with. He's pretty good with those arrows too. Looks like he used that arrow in the bottom lane, which is why we saw Mao use that heal just a moment ago. But already with that turret down, Gao steps up to try and push the wave, but look at this constant pressure from WE. What's the metric, Clement? 3 turrets by 15 minutes to try to match the gold funnel?
Yep. I think W have a very good chance to actually match it. Their bot lane is already free to roam, and they should be looking at the top lane as the next point of attack.
Smites are ready, and Xie is the one who steals away the blue buff with that smite. Challenging smite, I might add, for even more damage if the fight goes a little bit later, instead of a chilling to slow people down. But this is looking real scary. Do we at all move the metric for JD because they do not have those winning side lanes, or is that just standardized? Woo! Uh-oh, might hit Mundo.
No,
It got him.
Seriously?
Yep, it really did. Pings onto him right now.
We can see the question marks from Jingdong themselves. Like, how would you get hit by that?
He was walking through Tri-Bush, so not exactly a lot of room to maneuver, but now there's the push in the mid lane, but the engage. Look at the AoE. Clement, you said the Wombo was on the side of WE, but look at that immediate burst out of Xayah.
Oh my god. Clid is just... He's been popping off this entire split so far. Like, that catch on the 2-man really changed the entire script of the story. Jingdong were looking so defeated, losing their bot lane early. Their funnel was going nowhere, but just once more, like, out-executing WE.
Now they're trying to turn onto this dragon. Jarvan and that Rumble can still do a lot of damage. Cataclysm, plus that Flame Spitter is a dairy combo. Yeah, a scary combo dangerous and scary, one might say.
What would a dairy combo be? Would it be
Alistar.
like Alistar and Twitch?
No, it's just Alistar.
Okay.
As charge into the mid lane to try and push back against that turret. Already you can see Loken is backing away, but despite those kills going over, WE are able to dissuade the dragon attempt from JD and get some more chip damage onto this mid-tier 1.
Yep. I'm actually quite surprised at
That
their,
was a dairy combo from it.
Okay. I'm actually quite surprised that they're still sending the Ashe towards the bot lane. I think they have a very good chance to simply take the Herald away, and that shouldn't have completed their entire 3 outer turrets by 15 minutes routine.
I mean, they could still look for it. Still up pretty soon as, yeah, that's just the flash engage, plus a silence on top so there's no flashing. Mao with the flash, Celestial Field.
Oh, that was just beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
And that was like 0 reaction time given to the enemy side as well.
I mean, we barely got to react to it. We were watching it as it happened.
Yep. It's a great thing about the Rakan, the quickness flash. Incredibly difficult to avoid, and you get that 3-second CC with the battle entrance right after.
Another push in the mid lane out of Xie and Condi. Even 694 freed up from that bottom lane. Plus Mystic. The wave is pushed in. Yagao is trying to catch it. He's got teleport, but it's just taking more and more chip damage on this tier 1. Xie is doing work. 123 CS to match Loken's 120. Plus a 40 CS lead for Mystic. Mid-tier 1, broken down. 12 minutes and 40 seconds. Plus now we can see some wards being placed on that Rift Herald. They're still on track, Clement.
W are definitely saluting Coach Home right here, because they're saying, like, we definitely know how to play against this strategy, and just look at the difference between Game 1 and Game 2. Not only is the mid laner ahead, the marksman is also ahead. Like, the marksman is not bringing smite or taking jungle camps, and he's still ahead in farm, so I've seldom see a gold funneling go this wrong.
Well, we'll get the chance to in this game. 2,000 gold now for Team WE as they are 2 turrets ahead. Still no dragons from either side, but there's plenty of opportunity to snowball the game as it extends. Blade of the Ruined King finished off, and 2 jungle items finished. 1 on Condi, 1 on Xie.
And let's just kind of recap the differences between Game 1 and Game 2 and what has really led to this point. The 3 things I think W did better this time is, 1, they had a much stronger early game jungle to contest the 2v2. 2, they had the Ashe instead of the Ezreal, which pushes lane and also can contest elsewhere on the map with the Hawk shot as well. And 3, they just had a better level 1. Like, Condi did not need to burn the flash. They anticipated everything. And I would say they even came out ahead with the early flash blown on Loken.
And with all of that, Dragon ends up being taken by Team WE. 14 minutes in, we can see them start to assert some more pressure onto the map. Mid is pushed, bot is pushed, top is even. I can see a couple of people preparing to trek up there. Zoom, you gotta prepare yourself, kid. Because that's not gonna be a safe lane for a long time.
No. Nowhere is safe on the map for Jingdong right now.
Especially
like,
with the arrows.
Their composition just doesn't have enough initiative. And this is something that Jingdong compositions always need quite heavily. They are the ones that like to start the fights. So the only way I really see Jingdong clawing themselves back into the game is if Klid can make those same plays he did in the mid lane a couple more times.
Well, we're hitting the 15-minute mark, but it seems as though WE might be ready to look for that 3rd turret now, as Rift Herald is being taken by Team WE. Yagao is pushing bottom into 957. He's still got that teleport, but Mao is down there with him. Condi hops over the wall. Already the wave is pushed into the turret. Is Condi just going to use it? He's actually going to complete the recall, thinking that Mystic can just take this turret regardless, and recall completed with that Rift Herald in his pocket.
And we're having some WE stats show up on our screen right
Kill
now.
Participation, yeah. Number 1. When they get kills, everyone's involved. But there's the top tier 1. It's 15:30 that we see 3 turrets taken for Team WE. Now a ping onto that mid tier 2, and Rift Herald still sitting comfortably in Klid's backpack.
Yep. We still see Loken with a slight item advantage just because of those 2 kills he found mid, but the gold funnel has completely collapsed for Jingdong right now. Like, their composition just, it's so hard to actually start a fight. There's only one person you need to keep your eyes on, and that's Klid's Rakan. The rest of it just cannot compete. So unless Jingdong can make it to the super late game, W should have quite a simple time just grouping up and running whatever objective they want over.
Are you telling me that JD, there's a high chance of them going to a game 3? What?
Who would have thought?
No way! Never seen that before. Out of 6 series, all 5 out of those 6 have gone to game 3.
Who was the one that didn't make it to game 3?
It was Vici.
Oh, okay, that explains a
2-0
lot.
for JD. But I guess that's the differentiation that we wanted for Team WE, right? Can they put themselves above the quote-unquote Vici gaming bar?
That's a low bar to
against
put WE
Team
though.
JD. But look, they're 1-5, Clement. We have to.
Okay.
They're
okay.
1-5.
Yeah, Vici's 1-5 as well. I believe the only game they won is
So this is the
versus
differentiation
LGD.
between them.
Yep.
Oh, man. Just looking forward to that matchup. The Vici versus WE. Okay, Rift Herald. Still looking for that. We're starting to see a push up onto the top side out of Team WE. They are behind that red buff right now, and look at the vision that they have set up over here. With GA pushing in top and Waves pushing in mid, it's really WE's pick of the litter.
Yep, and W should have
Ooh.
the initiation as well. Ooh, misses out on Clit. Should have had an easy time if it did land.
You hate to see that happen.
Yeah. And I think W could just play 1-3-1, and once the Jingdong squad is split, you just all in onto the mid lane. The 5-man stack onto the mid lane should finish the deal.
Emphasis on should. JD have turned around worse fights. And taking a look at the items, we've got Runans and the Warriors enchant complete for Loken. Sunfire is ready for Zoom. Archangels is stacking up for Yagao. He's starting to build up to a shield. The fact that I had to say means I'm stretching here, Clement. I'm saying there's a chance. It's just, it's gonna be tough.
Oh.
And hey, Zeke's Convergence just now finished for Clit. Look, all according to plan.
Yeah, they're about 5 minutes late, I would say. You really don't see a gold funnel comp. You usually, like, at 20 minutes, the gold funnel is like 230 CS. And at 30, it's a lot of times it's even over 400 CS. So that's how crazy that can get for a gold funnel comp. But
We're not seeing that this time.
yeah, it's definitely not happening this time around. And W just have so much engage and split push potential as well. Like, Jingdong's really hanging on by a thread here. It's all on WE, and you know, sometimes we do criticize W for this. They have winning conditions, they have a strong point on the map, but they don't always push it as hard as possible.
Well, it looks like they're ready to do that right now. Rift Herald being carried up top. You can see a lot of pings going onto it as the channel is completed. Condi drops Shelly right up top lane. A quick rotation from JD to try and defend. Zoom gives the Mia ping to match 957, but there's the full charge. And it is not able to break the turret. There's no backup from Team WE. Mystic and 694 were actually defending in that mid lane, while Condi was looking for a pick in the jungle, but JD just took the safe route to walk around to defend their turret, and they end up losing nothing for it.
Yeah, that was a really weird situation. There was no reason for W to get nothing out of it. If they just drop it in a lane where nobody is, they can then group up in one of the other lanes. So I think it was just bad timing on whoever was holding it.
Oh, now they're chasing onto Zoom. They've managed to find him. A quick joust forward and back as 957 got a massive magic shield.
All right, here's the new test for WE. You got the good composition, you played the early game well. How does WE do when they actually have tempo advantage? Because they typically never do.
Teacher, I think I have an answer.
All right, what do you have to say, Dom?
Wait 35 minutes and take a fight at Elder Dragon. It's WE, right?
Oh,
this was in the textbook.
It's true, but I would be so disappointed if they do that. Sure,
Yeah.
you could still play this composition that way, but you're just giving Jingdong free percentage points.
Yeah.
You're
But
just
I
letting
wouldn't-
them back in the game.
But what else do they do, right? There's the Infernal Dragon. Baron has finally spawned. Do you bait JD out? What if JD
All right,
don't take the bait?
Here's what you do. You take over one side of the vision control. You make sure they never know which lane that Condi is going to be in. And then you have Rumble push one in, you have Fled push the other in. And then when they're stuck dealing with their waves, you just go on the mid lane. You could actually just drop Equalizer, and everyone would walk away.
Yeah.
It's that easy.
Well, there you go. Now they just need to actually do that. They've already got that Rumble in one side lane, and Kled is in that other. Well, should be in just a moment at least, as he's heading down to match Zoom. But look at the vision reset from JD. Now that Rift Herald is done, JD are back onto the map. The Archangels has evolved into the Seraph's Embrace at this point. BF Sword now picked up by Loken. Zoom has got himself a Spectre's Cowl. We're starting to see some item completions a little bit more. But that being said, We're getting pretty close to that Titanic Hydra for 957, and 2 items have been finished on Mystic, plus the Morelos onto Shie. So yes, WE have the tempo. I guess it's up to JD to not take the bait of a fight.
Yeah, they have defended very well, but a lot of it has been up to the hesitation I think W is actually throwing on the map. This should not be a very difficult solution for them to find. You just set up on one side of the jungle, make sure they don't know which lane Kandi is going to, because he could be going top and mid at the same time. And if you don't know, you have to defend both sides. You use that to leverage, and you have winning side lanes as well. Like, I'm actually really surprised if they don't take any of those second-tier towers and go straight into Baron buffs. I think if that's what happens this game, then W really need to take a very long, hard look at themselves and say, yeah, maybe we are just a one-meta team. Maybe we are just a one-composition team.
We're 22 minutes in. They haven't really been pushing towards it just yet. JD have just set up a calm, simple defense. They know that there's a lot of pick. They know that there's a lot of threat, so they're just hugging their turrets.
All right, now we're seeing W do the trick right here. Set up on that one quadrant of the jungle. Make sure they have no vision here, so you can then force Jingdong to defend 2 points at once. Remember, W took all 3 outer turrets by 15:30. It's been 7 minutes so far.
Yeah,
and Jingdong haven't lost anything out.
They're looking for the red buff. We're watching for Mystic's Enchanted Crystal Arrow or 694 to land it. That's a charge. Arrow, will actually catch onto Malvet Relmore, plus the Equalizer on top of it. So far, the only target is Clid. They have killed the support as a 5-man mob squad, but what else can they do off of this? That being said, though, that was the primary engage, and both of Mao's summoners were burned.
Yep, they should be looking for one of those inner towers at this point. A little bit unfortunate from Lurimal right there, actually dodging out and letting Clid take the arrow in the face.
I mean, that's just a good line for Mystic. If you line multiple people up so that someone has to take the hit.
Yeah, that's true. Clid would be the one that would make it out alive if, like, he has a better chance of survival right there. But if Jingdong walk away with only that kill given, that's actually fine for them.
Now, it should be mentioned, Clid has just respawned. He's still got flash, he's still got quickness, he's still got grand entrance. I don't know if Jingdong want a fight right now, but if WE were to try to, JD have the capability to attempt to turn it around.
Yeah, this is really good play by Jingdong. They know 2 big ultimates are off on WE's side, so they're using this opportunity and they're taking away all the vision that WE just sunk in on their own red buff.
That red buff was taken, though, by WE. And already you can see WE have got to recall. They found the kill, they got the red buff, but they couldn't really do anything else with it. And immediately Mao just walks back, picks up 2 controllers, restocks his Frostbang, and heads back out onto the map to start sweeping again. There is still a control word on the red buff, though.
Okay, maybe I'm expecting too much from WE, but there should still be a point in the game where their Wombo combo will absolutely demolish Jingdong at Baron. Well, I'll take a step back.
Okay,
I'll wait for the Baron bait.
All right.
Right, because it's a very easy Wombo combo. You have to face check.
We're moving the finish line a little bit closer.
Yep.
For Team WE. They're just kind of trudging along right now. It's not a race. It is a race, but they're not racing. They're just kind of going for a stroll. And it's nice and slow. Now, Mystic is going for the crit build Ashe here. He's got his Runon's Hurricane and Blade of the Ruined King. He's also got double BF Sword. Clement, you and I remember we looked at the math for this, and it ends up being massive damage once you get that Infinity Edge completed.
Yep.
Because of how Ashe's passive works with crit and slow, the Frost Shot. So theoretically, it shouldn't be too much of a problem to look at that Mundo late game. I just wonder how that Ashe is going to survive if she ever gets caught out by a quickness Zyra Khan.
Well, technically, she should never be the one in the front lines anyway.
Yes.
Like, there should be someone engaging. W should be the one starting the fight themselves. So, in an ideal world, Jingdong never had the opportunity to go for the back line.
Oh!
So close.
This is like one of those horror movies where the camera angle shows the protagonist, and you can see the monster is like hovering in the back of the room behind them, but the protagonist walks in, gets like a cupcake, and then just leaves the kitchen, and the monster doesn't attack.
I love how movies have actually evolved there for that. Because it used to be the monster just goes up and kills you, but now it's like, oh, it was a stray cat.
Yeah.
Or
It was a
branch
stray
or something.
cat.
Like
What
it doesn't
kind
matter
of stray
anymore.
cat kills you, Clement?
It's like they move the scare further down the line.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just one jump scare, but it's like two or
It's
three.
the suspense. It's the build-up of it.
All right, I really like
Are you
what
telling
W
me
did
Condi's
here.
a stray cat? No,
They actually did prep the top wave and then pressured onto the mid lane. So right now they're spreading Jingdong thin in 3 positions at the same time, and they found this opportunity for Baron, and it's gone.
We're able to step forward. Condi takes some damage with Xie. I think they were just testing their damage there. It looks like maybe they were able to. It would just take a very long time. So JD are just being trained that they have to be diligent. But there they go again. The double Baron coming. Nobody ever sees the double Baron coming.
I think Jingdong does see it, but the question is, are they actually in position to contest? I don't think so.
Realm Warp onto the pit. It completes. Nobody goes in. Flit is ready. Gleaming Quill is not enough. With a smite from Xie, it's picked up. And the charge onto Zoom. He's walking in a straight line. And the tree catches up to him. It's a late flash. Plus the arrow onto the side denies any engage. Plus a dark binding knockup is denied. Logan steps forward. He's looking for more. He's caught in the Cataclysm but dies to Mystic. And finally, WE have found the fight that they're looking for. Clid backs away. And with that, Logan dead. Zoom, he's going to try to heal up, but already used the sadism. And suddenly that's a sadism. As he goes down, 3 members of JD die. Baron picked up by WE.
Finally, W go with the correct play. They set up the minion waves, they pressure in the right positions, and they even do a double bait onto Jingdong right there. Only thing I would nitpick about Jingdong's play was Zoom was actually, you wait until the Kled hits you, and then you flash.
Yeah.
That's what you actually have to do in that scenario. If you flash early when you've already been locked on, it actually doesn't do anything for you.
And immediately we can see the follow-up of this push. WE, they've got a big minion wave, 3 members mid, plus Split pushing in both top and bottom to take those tier 2s. So finally, they're able to open up the map a little bit more and accelerate this game that has been stalled for so long by JD just hugging their turrets.
Yep, it only took them 10 minutes, but they finally got the job done. And in the team fight, they did focus Loken down first. Took out all of his flashes as well. And with the Baron buff, I think this sets up W for going for another inhibitor push. There's no way that Loken, being the sole carry, not really the sole carry, but the most important carry, is going to step up and contest.
Loken already tried in that last fight with his Infinity Edge, now completed. I'm not sure that he had it in that last fight. Might have been different damage numbers otherwise, but Ocean Dragon picked up, bottom tier 2 cleared out, middle inhibitor is down, and already the top tier 2 has taken some big hits. W are about to get onto the map, but let's see that fight again. Loken tries to step up with the arrow. Oof. Forces him to take to the skies early.
Ooh, Loken actually flashes in to deal more damage, but is caught into the Cataclysm. Such a good answer to the Xayah. And you can see Jingdong just backing away, their entire front line collapsing and forcing themselves back into the base. So I think this game around, we've really seen W adapt. They learned a lot of things. They found great counters to how you play against the Xayah. You just lock her up. She can't really go over terrain, which is the Cataclysm. And once she's burned that flash, it's actually very easy to focus her down.
Absolutely. Xayah not exactly known for being very tanky amongst the AD carries is WE. They're now pushing their next inhibitor. You can see Yagao is split pushing bottom. 957 is actually about to catch him recalling as the wave is pushing in, but the top inhibitor is already set to be broken. Meanwhile, the duel is going on. Yagao is trying to go toe-to-toe against 957. The charge plus a GA, but 957 has got that Guardian Angel. He's about to fire some shots. Clement, can he kite it out in time? The shield!
What?
Yagao actually is going to be healed up by the miracle from Soraka. That wish. Loken goes in. Finally trying to cut it out even more, but the fight over the inhibitor not working out for WE. They take the inhib, 694 goes forward. Xie still kiting it out. Loken is dead in the meanwhile, and the teleport from 957, he completed his own Baron-empowered recall and is back at full, whereas Yagao is still sitting at half. Zoom walks into the turret, but 957 is happy to tank it as he steps up. Baroned up super minions on the Nexus, Clement. They could be trying to end the game right here. Yagao uses an early cleanse. Like you said, no wave clear against these Baroned up super minions onto the Nexus. Zoom is trying to tank it up. Yagao taking these hits. WE throwing everything they can to try to close this out, but they end up going down.
What?
957 is going to respawn just in time to die. Bear Nexus. But WE lose 4 members and get aced by JD.
Weird play coming out from the top side. Condi actually being the first one to fall into the fight, and we just saw Loken actually get quite a bit of damage onto it. Yagao, even though he was caught out in the bottom side, still manages to win out the trade just because of the wish. And able to come back into base and save the situation. If Yagao was taken out in the bot side, that game would actually just have ended right there. So again, the Cataclysm going in, arrow only landing onto Clid. But, you know, Loken got most of his damage down already.
Mystic, you can see, gets chunked low and dies to Zoom. If that Ashe had been alive for the push onto the Nexus, that very well could have been the end of the game. But all it takes is one Cataclysm to lock that Xayah into place as Mystic and Loken trading flashes in these fights. But this time, Loken has his and Mystic does not. Can Loken get the miracle outplay that he needs to turn around a team fight and help his team get back to even in this game? Because it's 9,000 gold in favor of WE. They've got 2 inhibitors down and a bare Nexus for Jingdong.
You can feel the humidity in the arena right now. A lot of sweaty palms in Xi'an. Because that was a lot closer than it should have been.
Yeah.
But overall, W only need to take down the Nexus, and it doesn't have a lot of HP this patch.
They're trying to step up. Loken is clearing out the wave. That's the charge.
Are they going to rush for Nexus or take fight?
Cataclysm once again onto Yagao. Loken's in the back, though. He's still firing across. 694 goes up with the Soul Shackles. Forces the flash out of him, but meanwhile, that's already 2 members of JD dead. Zoom is looking for Mystic in the back. He's able to kill him. Loken eats a binding but cleanses. 694 is not able to do anything to keep his carry alive, and Loken back against the wall. Gets a hit onto Xie. You can see that Mundo is trying to heal up. Mao going back to base. Loken, 1 versus 4, has to stand while his team is filling up on health. The wave again cleared out. Looks like that inhib is going to be coming up soon. No super minion in that wave. WE might just try to have to take that. The seconds there is JD managed to hold WE.
And once again, down 10,000 gold, Jingdong are able to hold the tide. This is Helm's Deep of League of Legends.
Oh yeah. On the 10th day, look to the east, because Baron will spawn, and it will help break the base. Here it goes again. The charge onto Zoom, but Zoom just walks up to Mystic. He does Mundo things.
Yeah, just look at how Zoom plays this fight.
No.
Like, they're all tangled up in the front line. They're looking to end the game, but they forget about Mystic.
No.
Mystic has no flash. He was probably screaming in Korean at this point, but nobody on the team could hear him.
That's a bit of a problem there. But the inhib is back up. Loken is successfully defending.
W could have won the game.
He's at 3.5 items, nearly 4. Baron is up in 10 seconds. Another Infernal Dragon for WE in 45, because they still control the map with the amount of pressure they have. You can see JD are stepping up and trying to clear out some wards. They have to be careful of that Kled back door. The charge through a turret onto the Nexus. You can see pings onto it right now. A lot of these wards have been cleared out, but WE are trying to bait at the Baron.
Yeah, I've done this quite a few times to end games with Rusty. He was playing Twisted Fate, I was on Kled. You kill that Nexus tower so fast. It only lasts 5 seconds.
There's the charge. The target is Zoom in the mid lane. The arrow goes through, but actually tags onto Loken. He uses a cleanse. Kandi goes forward. That's a golden Zanyas to try to keep Kandi alive. Zoom is still up too. Nobody has died. Zoom healing up despite the healing negation, as Mao is doing everything he can to keep that front line up. Once again, 957 goes in. They manage to kill Zoom. Another stopwatch for 957. Stalls out the fight, but the tank is dead. The Soraka is low. All of the sustain for JD is missing. It's up to Yagao and Loken.
And W are going to take this slow and steady. They're going to go back and take the Baron away. Zoom was down for 52 seconds, but they did not want to go into Helm's Deep round 2. So Baron it is. They're going to play it slow and safe, and watch what Loken is doing. Clever move on his part. He actually gets a late game Infernal. That's incredibly important.
8% AD and AP against enemy champions. Absolutely. Especially to manage out against WE's own Infernal Dragon and try to balance the scales a bit. But now that's 4 items on the Xayah, 4 items on that Rise. Somehow JD have managed to plant the stakes in the ground and stall out WE's charge multiple times. But this time they've got the Baron.
Yeah,
there are
and
double inhibitors open for them to take. Another inhibitor turret that is paper thin this late in the game.
all WE need to do is to make sure Mystic is still alive at the end of the fight. He has enough damage to finish the game so soon. They overchased in that last fight, but this time around, I think Mystic has made the message clear. Just make sure I'm alive, and we can just push this thing to the enemy base.
Yeah, the arrow's ready once again. He's got that QSS and double summoner. Loken versus Mystic. Both of these massive damage champions. There's the charge. Zoom steps up as the arrow goes through. Let's see if they decide to take this. The quickness goes in. Kandi's actually trying to get behind them. That's the Cataclysm. Loken is still up. He's doing a lot of damage on top of the Flame Spitter. He's still alive, but 957 finishes the job. Finally, he goes down. And Mystic, this time alive, is able to get the cleanup in the back. Arrow after arrow flies. He gets a triple kill. The Quadra is denied, but the Nexus finally breaks. And that's game 2 to WE.
And WE finished with the nail biter. Probably could have went a bit smoother, but I think the main story of this game was that they had the correct counter to the gold funneling. So game 3, Jingdong, here we go. Everyone expected this. Everyone knew this was going to happen. But at least in game 3, they can't run the same tricks again.
Perhaps JD have got some more plays to return to. They've been trying the gold funnel strategy here in Xi'an against WE. And it worked out for them in game 1, but game 2, WE showed that they had an answer and were finally able to take another win. It must be noted that in half of WE's games, they have gone to 3, and their one series win against OMG, that also went to 3. So with a 36-minute closeout, WE are able to even this series up. That said, it was far from clean, and I think JD have learned their lesson about the gold funnel.
I don't blame WE. They're not a team that's used to actually playing the early mid game, even when they have an advantage. But I like what their coaching staff did this game. They said, hey, our communication is probably not on point yet. Let's play an easy comp to execute. No more flanks, just running at the enemy team and just force them down. So I really like the composition. I love the answers that they had against the gold funneling. And sure, we can talk about the small mistakes here and there, but overall, WE with a very, very strong game coming out here, and we finally saw some steps of moving with the meta. This is something that WE has always lacked. They've always been a one-comp team, but with this series down, with this game, I think we're seeing some signs of life at 8.13.
Yeah, and it was Xie in that mid lane who was able to come up with that Smite Rumble to match the funnel successfully for WE. Perhaps this could be them trying to turn over a new leaf. That said, we'll actually get a chance to hear from our analysts on that WE victory and break down what WE did right to even up the series.
Good job on the cast, guys. And Raz, it was a bit of a back and forth, bit of a slugfest. I do like what Clement was saying there. You know, this is finally Team WE taking a page of the new meta, bringing out the double smite or having the smite on the Rumble to counteract the gold funneling strategy. So let's go ahead, start at Champion Select, look through, and just grab me what's jumping out at you. What do you like? What do you not like?
What I like about it is Jarvan Rumble. Jarvan Rumble coming out of WE, something we've seen from them in the past. So once again, that's just out of comfort.
An old WE special.
Exactly. And they've been known for utilizing Jarvan and Galio.
Yep.
They were the first team to do that last year. And so it's just right down comfort lane to be like, yeah, it's easy to execute in team fights, especially now they need that in times in which the easy to execute portion will work very well for them, where they can't execute in team fights. So that's great from them. And I think utilizing it in the mid lane, no less. Both of them in the mid lane. I thought it was going to be, we were hearing from our comms, Rumble being picked. I was like, so it's going to the top lane because 957 can play it. But no, they've decided that it was actually going to be the Rumble taking for his early camp going forward. He would have the experience advantage going and pushing in mid lane. And then they would be hard denying Xayah and Rakan. So very smart from W with that side of the composition.
Yeah, I especially like then how it's used in tandem with the Ashe pick, because I completely agree with you. It wasn't just the fact that the Rumble is hard denying the Xayah Rakan, it's then you also have the Ashe pick so that you hard win the bottom lane as well. And so suddenly Team WE, who almost always lose all of their lane phases, are now getting into mid game with 2 lanes, A, the funnel composition controlled, and B, the bot lane actually winning.
Yeah. This time around, Kandi could sit in his river because it's going to be in the bottom side of the map where you can press up advantage. You can place your control ward so much farther to protect Ashe's area of, I would say...
influence?
Yeah, area of influence. She can fire her Ashe arrow, not cross map, literally just sitting behind the mid lane, when she finds the opportunity.
So then here's my next question. In game number 1, Condi was constantly caught out. You know, he just didn't really understand how to play against the gold funnel, tried to go in and invade. He got collapsed on. He was punished before level 4, and they never got to contest gold funnel. And gold number 2, I feel like Condi's strategy didn't necessarily change, but his laners changed to cover him. So is this just the proper way to execute on this? I mean, do we now actually have tape that, okay, Condi doesn't quite understand what his responsibility is across from gold funnel compositions, but now we just need to empower our laners? Or can we teach Condi so that they can go back to a composition like they did in game number 1 and actually find success with it?
If you ask any jungler in the LPL, North America, anyone, they would say, yes, give me my lanes. I want the lanes to help me. I need the early game. But in reality, while that's true, as long as the competition in game 1 had reason for it, as long as it had the strong enough window so you can play off of it, Sejuani could literally just farm in the back. So that's one of those points where I'm not going to let Condi off on a leash and say, no, you know, I just always give you proper winning lanes, because that won't always be present to you. I think game 2 was a better draft, but I think game 1, it had options in which he kind of fumbled with. So ultimately, he made a mistake in game 1. Game 2 is a better draft, and he played around it well.
Now, that said, while the early game was much more successful for Team WE, able to control the gold funnel as well as get that Ashe ahead into the bottom lane, it was kind of scary entering into the mid lane, because again, you have the Rakan combo goes over. Clit has shown himself as being a phenomenal Rakan, and it looks like JD immediately bite back in this instance.
Yeah, and this is what's always scary no matter you're drafting. So people look towards the Morgana and say, well, that's going to counter out the Rakan every time. Problem is reaction. What animation does Rakan actually utilize to indicate that the alt W flash,
the all-in is coming in?
You don't know, or at least you have to watch the Rakan closely if they're walking up to you, and if you recognize that the situation is ripe, so you put it out there preemptively. So that happens. We've seen numerous times, even just yesterday with Killua on the Morgana pick, that no matter the composition, it's difficult to play up against Rakan, and that was the win condition in which Jingdong were fighting back. So
now the casters talked about this idea that JD constantly go to 3 games because they experiment. That they like to grab hold of different compositions, try different things. And so in the game number 2, it's maybe not, you know, JD playing at their height, especially because they continue to close out all of these series. Do you agree with that? Because right now we have JD who are going to game 3 again. They played pretty much exactly the same style of composition, 2 gold funnels, game 1 to game 2. So as a viewer, I look at that, I'm like, that doesn't look like JD are experimenting. That just looks like Team WE figured out how to counteract the strategy.
I would agree with that. I think that WE completely figured it out. You can make the case that JD were experimenting in game 1 for the gold funneling composition, and that they came in with something that they were really competent with, and they decided if it didn't fail in game 1, it's better to have the experience on it in game 2. They're not going to stop us, you would think, with how WE reacted in game 1. So they ran in game 2 saying, well, we need more on-stage experience. That's the only way I'll say that it's an experimentation, is that get them the on-stage experience with the gold funneling. But ultimately, it's a common strategy of, they didn't punish us in game 1, we can clean it up in game 2.
And of course, they were punished in the middle of game 2, because while that first replay showcased that JD were able to take a very cheeky team fight, Team WE then came back swinging with massive team fights.
And just take a look at that Ashe arrow. That's the second time in which the first person dodged out of it, but because of how well placed the Ashe arrow was, it was able to hit the second person behind him. Mystic is so damn good on Ashe that he will find those opportunities, those windows in which, if he doesn't get the first person, he's going to get the second. And it was always in the tunneled area of the red side jungle. So really props to him, because they were able to wipe Rise before the fight even started.
And ultimately, like, we made the joke that we talk about how Mystic only plays 4 champions, but I spoke too soon, because he does play the Ashe. It is one of his legacy picks. So you can see man of the match on your screen right now. Why the hell aren't they putting him on more Ashe games? RNG came out, they showcased the Ashe Tom Kench, the power of that lane phase. He can contest a lot with Varus. Varus is starting to crop up more into the global scene. So why is it that Team WE keep trying to bend over backwards and grab other things that aren't working for them when they know that this does?
I will give them the benefit of the doubt. Of course, one thing I want to mention is 40% damage percentage. Great. But reason for it is teams across the globe are finding the situation where they are trying to figure out the meta at the same time as figuring out team play. So they're trying to be like, all right, we have multiple members in WE's circumstances. They're trying to figure out the team play aspect, bringing in new members. But at the same time, the meta has changed so much that you're looking towards the bottom lane and saying, well, do we want to play mages? Do we want to play bruisers? Our crit AD carry is good. A lot of people have just said no. So Ashe is actually that champion that gets washed away when she was actually still good because of her utility. So people are slowly finding that out. Mystic finds out because the rest of the world's still playing Ashe. LPL, a lot of Ashe players. So now he can just go back to it, and he's done it here today.
So do you think going into Game 3 that this is an easy grab, that Team WE have kind of figured out exactly what they need, or do you think that JD can completely throw a wrench in everything, grab a different type of creative composition, and Team WE are then inherently on the back foot?
I think it's a new ball game. Now we're suddenly in Game 3. You can't just look towards the Zyricon and say you can put that in the mid lane. I think JD will take the Zyricon, but they'll put it in the bottom lane. We'll have natural lanes here.
Okay, well that said, we are going to go ahead and send it over to a break. But reminder, if you want to catch up on OMG versus Vici, Vici are ahead in game number 1. You can check that over on lpl.qq.com or over on our Chinese or Mandarin streams in Douyu, as well as, I don't know why I'm looking at you, Douyu and Panda TV. It's because the Chinese
Confirmation.
casters
Oh, that's true. That's true.
are right behind
right
you.
Here.
Likewise, it will be an extended break. We're still doing the manual pick and ban because of the audio issues. And then the final thing before I throw it off to you, RNG and EDG will start on time no matter what. So if this game does not finish before 7 o'clock, we will end the game early and go into RNG versus EDG. We'll see you on the other side.
过去的荣光就留在记忆中 ，WE 要追逐新的胜利。